What's going on, everybody? JR from JR's Cars. Today, we're working on the Patriot again because it keeps blowing bulbs in the front and in the rear, and we're trying to figure out why it's doing it. All right, so what we have here is a 2014 Jeep Patriot, and the problem I'm having, if you look here, you can see that I have the hazard lights on, but they're not working right now. And if you look at this headlight, you can see that it's not on even though the other one is. So this leads me to believe that we have a grounding issue because that worked a couple days ago, and I don't understand why. But if we look around the back, you can see that the driver's side light is working, and the passenger side is not working even though the running light is on. So I know this already has a blown bulb. I took a look at it before and you could see it here that it doesn't work. So I'm gonna have to replace that, but I really need to take a look at the grounds here too, because it's a common problem with these Chrysler Jeep products. So I've already taken a look at this, and the grounds that are up here in the front, I could definitely see are all copper corroded. They're green and they don't look good. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna repair the ground. There's one on this side and one on that side of the engine. We'll cut the wires off, we'll get down, strip them down to good metal, we'll bundle them all back together, put it back on, and then we'll take these bulbs out. We'll see if they're blown. If they are, have replacements, and then we'll see how this works out and if we get this thing finally corrected. But first thing we need to do is get rid of this here. They just move out, and this gets out of our way. Now I've already gone through and replaced the positive terminal on this because it was completely corroded out. But next thing you want to do is to disconnect your battery. Whenever you're working on anything electrical, you need to disconnect the battery. All right, so now the battery is disconnected. Now this is the pack that we really need to look at, because that is the pack where the grounds are for the headlight and for this blinker on this side here. So you can obviously see, if we zoom you in a little bit there, you can see how terrible those ground leads are. That is really, really rotted out. And if when I get this disconnected, I'm going to take these eyelets out and show you how badly corroded those are. You could pretty much see it right there, like right where the eyelet finishes, and you have the end of the connector right there. You can see how green it is in there. That all has to get chopped out. And when you take these nuts off, make sure you put them in a safe place, because there's nothing worse than losing your nuts. Okay, so with the eyelets disconnected, you could really see right in here where these cables are their shielding is right here, and then the eyelet case is here. You can see how really green that is in there. Now that is corrosion. All these wires that are coming into here, they're tied together and they all bundle into this into one area. So if you're like, you could see that right on the right side of the screwdriver here. See how that one's really, really green up in the back there? And it would be this black and green wire. See how that's really, really green? That's not going to get a good connection. You're not going to get a good ground, and your lights aren't going to work. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pull these out. I'm going to chop these off, and I'm going to see how far down we have to go to get to clean metal before we put new eyelets on there. So here's a perfect example of what happened here. Right, so I'm cutting these loose, and I got the thicker wires out of the way. And as soon as I got the thicker wires out of the way, I pulled on this one here, and it pulled right out of the pack. There was nothing connecting to it. So at this point, that was so corroded that it was making zero connection inside this grounded pack here. I would have to look at the wiring diagram to see what this was actually connected to see, but I guarantee it's one of these lights here that was causing that problem too, because I mean, I literally just took it and went like this with it, and it pulled right out of the pack. All right, so now I have these stripped down, and there's good copper there. So what I'm going to do is these were here bundled all together. What I'm going to do is I'm going to separate the bigger wires and then I'll separate the smaller wires. I'll probably do the same thing for this over here too, just to keep them separate. I know it's going to end up with a couple more eyelets than we had before, because we only had 2. We'll end up with, let's say, 4 at that point, but it's probably better off. It may lead to a little bit less corrosion in the wiring too, but basically you just twist them together, put them in here, you're going to crimp them down, and then we'll do the same thing for this, and then I'll get working on this pack and seeing how bad this one really is too. And of course, just like with the other pack, I had these in here that were all corroded out. This one wasn't connected at all whatsoever. You could see how rotted it looks there. I'm going to cut these down. I'm going to get them to a good copper. I'm going to crimp them into new eyelets and put it all back together. All right, so here's what it looks like with the eyelets back on there. And I wrapped the bottoms with a little bit of electrical tape just to get them to seal up a little bit. We're going to put these eyelets back on the stud and then move on to the passenger side to get that done. And this is what it looks like when I have everything put back together on the driver's side. And now for the passenger side. So if you look right down, let's see if I can get you in there. You can see it right down in there. You can see that it's green. That is the grounding point for the passenger side. So basically you're going to do the same thing as I did on the driver's side. You're going to remove that. You're going to strip the wires back. You'll put new eyelets on it. You'll put it right back on. The only problem is on this side, it is definitely tight. It is a tight squeeze. One thing you're going to want to do is remove the reservoir for the wipers, which basically there's just one bolt here, and then this will slide off of here. It will slide backwards. You just shift it out of the way. It'll give you a little bit more room over here to work. But if you look in there, you see that the bundle is really tight. There's not very much here to be able to work with. If you can't get to good copper and you're going to have to cut some extra off, you might have to add some wire in there in order to make it work. So I'll get at this right now, and then we'll test it out. We'll see if everything's working okay, and then we'll go from there. Okay, and if you take a look down here, you can now see that this is what the bundle looks like. This on the passenger side here, it's been disconnected, and you have to remove the covering on here, and you'll see that there's this little plastic thing in here which basically keeps the wires connected to it, so that way it doesn't go into the belt over here. But these are the wires that we're going to clip. We'll pull this off, we'll clip them out, we'll strip them back a little bit, we'll put new eyelets on, and then we'll put it back on there. Okay, so this is all set now and good to go. What I did was I bundled all the smaller wires together into one eyelet, and then there's 2 larger wires that I put into another eyelet. I put them together, put everything secured back into place. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to just wrap this with a little bit of electrical tape, and then we'll put the battery back in, and we'll see if that took care of our problem. And when you're doing this part of it, just make sure that when you put it all back together, you put that piece of plastic in there just so it keeps the wires together, and then do your electrical tape around it. And with that being said and done, now it's time to test it out. Let's see what we have here. Turn the lights on, and turn the hazards on, and let's see what we have. All right, driver side headlight, driver side blinker, passenger side headlight, passenger side blinker. There's a passenger side rear. And let's see if we can block this here. There's a driver side rear. So, with that being said, I'd call this a success. All the lights are now working, where a lot of these lights were not working before. So, proof is in the pudding. If you have a problem, make sure you check those grounds, because it's almost guaranteed that you're going to have that problem at some point in the ownership of any of these cars. So there you have it, everybody. If you have a Jeep or Chrysler product you really should be checking your grounds, because it's obviously a known problem with these cars, and something, I really don't want to say as simple as that. It really wasn't a very simple thing to do or troubleshoot or track down, but something like that could cause some severe electrical problems for you. And, you know, now that this is all taken care of, we should be good to go again. So drop your comments down below. Tell me what you think. Tell me if you have this same problem here too. I hope everybody's staying safe out there. I'll catch you in the next video, and you can check us out on Facebook and Instagram as well.